To order at 6 p.m. with roll call, please.
Councilor Allegro. Mayor Sakala.
Here.
Councilor Crisati is absent. Councilor Hall.
Here.
Councilor Mangini.
Here.
Councilor Matthews.
Here.
Councilor Pisner.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Here.
Councilor Thomas is absent. Councilor Ungary.
Here.
Councilor Zanoni.
Here.
9 members are present, 2 are absent.
Thank you. And our first item on the special agenda is the snow presentation. Good evening, Donald.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councilors. It's been a little while since I
Sir?
did this presentation, and for those uninitiated, go through what we do for our snow and ice control plan. Here we go. Let's see. There we go. So on our website, under the highway page, we have what was approved back in 2019 is our snow and ice control plan. And in that, it covers a tremendous amount of things. I think it's 40-something pages of light bathroom reading. That there's some fun things in there to understand and go through, but it's on the page, and we just did update it a little while ago. So some of the things that we're talking about are all these that you see on the screen are in that snow and ice control plan, but the ones that are italics and bold, we're going to talk about those right now because they're the more important ones. So forecasting, we use 4 different systems to determine what we do when it snows or if it's predicted to snow. The first one is our DTN Weather Service. That's my initials, and I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. They provide a 72-hour, hour-by-hour forecast with a 5-minute radar loop. We use internet weather sites, the local news, and things from Demis. So this is very important to us for the hour-by-hour, but the most important thing is a 5-minute loop. So like Weather Channel has a 15, AccuWeather is 15 to 20 minutes, so we have a 5-minute. So we use that to determine what we're doing. So all of our protocols and all of what we do for crews is based upon that forecast. Now that's a forecast. As you know, from 2 storms ago, that forecast was wrong. We were predicting a heck of a lot more, but we got wet, heart attack snow, as I call it, really wet, sloppy snow. Instead of 8 to 12 of fluffy, we got 2 inches of wet snow. So again, we in the past, I have screenshotted all of the forecasts and while we're going into this, because again, some things have changed, and sometimes I kind of questioned on why we did this and did that. But at the time, this is our best information, and this is what we run with. So for our newer residents, for those, we have a sidewalk snow removal procedure. So we determine when the end of each snow and ice event is. So right after the last snowflake falls, it takes us between 5 to 7 hours to clear all the roads. After we clear the roads, then we have municipal buildings, we have schools, and we have miles and miles of sidewalks that we're responsible for that we have to take care of after all of the more important things get done first. So once we know when that is going to finish, that is when the 24-hour sidewalk clock comes on. We post it on our website, and there is a countdown clock on B&G's and also on the front page. The residents must clear all their sidewalks before the end of those 24 hours, and if you don't, and a complaint is filed through our See-Click-Fix system, Building and Grounds will go to that address, they will remove the snow, and you'll be cited. So the flat fee is $75, then it's $1 a foot for every foot of sidewalk that you own. So a 100-foot sidewalk would be $175 for us to clear it the first time. Then the second time it's $2 a foot. So if you do it more than once in a year, so that would be $225 every single time that we clear the snow. But again, it is complaint driven. If we go to, let's say, whatever, I make up 100 Main Street, and we had to clear that, and we saw 102 has snow on it, we don't do 102 because there wasn't a complaint about it. So we don't, because otherwise than that, we'd be clearing everybody's sidewalks throughout town, and we never would finish it. So again, completely complaint-driven, and that's how we respond. Parking ban and blue lights. So each one of those stars represents where we have a blue light, and the red one right here is there, but according to EPD is currently not functioning and they're trying to repair it. So we do have a good amount all throughout where we need to, and we put that out, we start it, and when we know that if there's going to be a parking ban, DPW will put that on through the police. So to notify people, along with the blue lights, this spreadsheet here, every single storm we go through, we have staff that reaches out to Channel 3, 30, all those things. We have websites, we have all these things, and we record every single thing that we do just to make sure that people understand that when there is a parking ban, there are multiple outlets, so no one can really say that they weren't notified. As you can see, there's 14 different things to get your information from that we have a parking ban in town. In our authorized parking lots, Whitworth and Pleasant. Pleasant Street used to be the back of the former Lamagna Center. The South River Street Boat Launch, Hisnuntug Street, and Pearl and South are authorized parking lots that people can use during this parking ban. And that's all in the snow and ice plan. So I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this in real life while we're driving around and we're looking at things. It does happen a lot that plow comes by while at the same time someone's blowing their stuff out in the middle of the street. So residents can help by, again, reminding that the blowing, throwing, or plowing of snow into a public street is a violation of town Code of Ordinances, section 74-102. At times, we do have to get police involved with local contractors pushing across roads, leaving windrows. Those are the most damaging parts of it, because if somebody plows across, they leave piles on the edges and cars can't get through it and they get damaged, then we get claims against us. So we've had to have police intervention multiple times for local contractors as well. Contrary to belief, people have asked us why we don't clear their driveways. They're at the end of the street for them, at the end of their driveways. And it's happened. It's amazing how many times it's happened. But again, I'm just clearing the air here that we do not do that. So it would be best if you, again, if this was your house up here and your driveway's here, put the snow on this side so when the plow comes by, they're not taking all the snow that you just shoveled over here and pushing it back in again. So it's just a little help to try to do on the right side of your driveway if possible as you're facing the road. Eliminate your snow piles at the driveway whenever possible, and don't push snow out on the roads because we're just going to push it back in again. Now this is an interesting one too. I'm sure there's a lot of streets on here that you don't realize are state roads, such as Franklin and Frew come to mind, which lead to the Suffield Bridge. All of North Maple, Shaker, and Taylor Road north of Shaker Road is a state road, so we don't plow that as well. Mayor, you look.
Depot Hill.
Yep, that's Route 510. So yes, that's why we don't plow those streets. And some people have asked why, and we've get questions or through See-Click Fix, how come you didn't do Depot Hill Road and what's a state road? And people don't realize it because it's not publicized like Route 5. You see the actual sign. These are just county roads or state roads. Plow trucks with raised plows. There could be multiple reasons why a truck you'll see has a raised plow and is not just dropping it to plow. It could be either returning for fuel or to get service, returning for more salt. It's quicker to get to the assigned areas, and sometimes if somebody else puts their plow down, now that messes up the other driver's run, whose run that is. So sometimes it just doesn't work for them. Or a lot of times we have to assist emergency services, police, fire, and EMS, and or school bus. So there are multiple times during heavier storms where we get called and say we can't, if we haven't plowed yet, we'd have to get an ambulance down whatever street. We'll send crews out and just they pick up and they go do that street so that person can get help they need. Mailboxes. This is one everybody over here are going to deal with. So the practice is if one of DPW's drivers physically strikes the mailbox with the plow or any part of the truck, we own it. We own the replacement for it. If the snow knocks it over, then that's that's part of winter setup, and we're not responsible for that. If we strike it, we own it. There's a complaint procedure here that's also in that snow and ice plan that people will follow through. And sometimes we cannot tell if it was struck, but ring cameras these days are everywhere, and that has found us not innocent of some things multiple times. So I am happy for ring cameras in that respect, and also it keeps our drivers honest these days. So, but again, if we knock it over, we own it. If the snow does, we're not. And another thing with a mailbox, we need to know if it was installed correctly. So this is from the USPS, and we use this diagram for also throughout construction, that your mailbox has to be 6 to 8 inches from the edge of the road and 41 to 45 inches high. So when on a route, that's exactly what they need to be. So sometimes we don't have, some mailboxes are a little closer. Some people put them in by themselves. If we don't do it as part of a reconstruction and they want to put their own in, sometimes they put them too close and the like, and that's when they get struck as well. But we don't, if it meets the policy and we did it again, we own it again. But expensive, decorative, and specialty mailboxes, we have one over in Green Manor that at the time, 3 years ago, the gentleman installed it, and it was $4,700 for his fully bricked and uplit and top lit acorn granite topped mailbox, and that was pretty amazing. So if we hit that one, then we're just going to give you a mailbox. So, any questions? There's a little back in the day when we actually had snow. Oh, it's not playing, Alex. No. Nope. Well, this was a nice video. Let me try it. No, it's not working. I'm sorry. But it was when we were actually just downtown on Alden. So when we actually had snow back then. So. And that's a quick summary, but again, we're going to push, Matt, we're going to get that up on, we all good with the things? Okay. So we'll have it posted tomorrow.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. Any questions?
Any questions from counselors?
I have a
comments?
couple. This was a great presentation, Donald. Thank you.
Thank
You did a great job. I wanted to ask about the snow event notification log, the code ordinances, and the private driveway policy. You said that residents are reminded, or there are multiple ways that these people can know about what the policies and procedures are. But how do you actually communicate those? Is it like a social media?
Yes,
thing?
we give it to Cheryl, she pushes it out through that side. Lois puts it on the website and we put it as a ticker. We've done with multiple avenues, and we do that for, like I said, with the bigger channels, Channel 3 and all the newscasts, we do that. So it's everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
as long as people know to
Yep.
look for these avenues. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Counselor Mangini.
Thank you for the presentation. I know I saw a couple of streets I was unaware that the state is taking care of. Fro Terrace is on there, and Franklin. I'm just wondering how and why they're state roads.
They're little county roads.
No, they're state roads.
They're sta-
That was when they put the bridge in over the river and brought 190 through there. They took them at that time, so it's been since the 1960s. There is a term for the roads.
Yeah, I know.
They're parallel with 190.
Yep.
And they attach to the ramps. The ramps that come along.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or you're going to have
They reach and then go down.
So is the state dutiful on maintaining and taking care of the
Yeah,
removal?
as far as I know, we don't have any, if people complain, I
Oh,
don't
okay,
complain to
okay.
the state, so, but John can elaborate more if you wish. This is John Cabibbo, Assistant Town Engineer.
Hello.
Actually, those are the only streets that I zoomed in on. The others, I'm aware, that they are state roads, but yeah, I was surprised to see that.
Yeah. And they actually did Fruit Terrace the state did Fruit Terrace over, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Recently, anyway.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? If somebody has a complaint about one of those state roads, do you have a point of contact or just have them call?
District 1.
District 1? Okay.
District 1 office, yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, I appreciate it. I know there's always chatter online about, how these procedures are, and rest assured that if there is a storm, you guys are either out there salting, sanding, or plowing, depending on what the conditions call for. So we appreciate it. And if
Okay.
you need to come back in a couple months to sort of let us know how it's going, feel free.
Yeah, and please check, like I said, the Public Works Highway Division website will have the revised one up on for tomorrow morning.
And this will be on our website.
That is on,
Perfect.
yeah, it's on our, yep.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, number three on the agenda is the Roads 2026. Welcome again. Take it away.
Good evening. So, again, Donald, Director of Public Works to my right, and John Cabibbo, Assistant Town Engineer, 37-plus year employee, and we have JP Rodriguez, the Roads Engineer, a 10-plus year employee with the town. So there's a lot going on in this one. So we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to kind of buzz through it, but there's a lot of good in here, and I'm looking forward to portraying that. So from 1991 to 2021, we worked with a group called VHB, an engineering group that produced our pavement management program. They decided to get out of the business of that, so we had to change our engineering company that does our road assessments. So in 2026, we used Beta Group. And what they used was a LiDAR inspection system instead of humans. They use humans to double check and cross check to see that if a road is presenting as, let's say the PCI was a 70, which we'll get into, that it really does that. They'll do spot checks and the like, but for the most part, it was all done by LiDAR and backed up with human checking. So we've prepared a complete proposed street list for your consideration tonight. Again, not knowing where we're, how much or whatever, we come up with a plan of what we're going to do. So PCI, I mentioned that as called the Pavement Condition Index. So if a brand new paved street, such as Aloha, is going to be at 100 right now. So there's no maintenance required at all. PCIs between 80 and 92 are such things as crack seal, other routine maintenance. Preventative maintenance are thin overlays and chip seals, which range from 65 to 80. 50 to 65 is minor, and anything below 50 is major rehabilitation. And the difference between a 0 and a 50 is almost nothing at that point because the deterioration's so bad you can't really get any worse at any particular time. So an example of this is 33. I think it's pretty battered and the base has failed. Minor rehab, we can do some overlays and other treatments. Crack seal, we've had, through JP, we've done tremendous amount of crack sealing over the years, and we keep coming up with more, and that really extends the life of the pavements out. And again, like a no maintenance, here's a brand new paved road. This would be a 100. So pavement doesn't deteriorate on a steady decline. If you notice, the take-home point of this whole slide is that you start off good, then you start going it starts going downhill, then at some point it just falls off the cliff. And that's what happens with flexible pavements like blacktop. You're not going to get that with concrete pavements, but we don't do that up here because it's not warranted. We just don't like it up here, and it doesn't like us either. But again, right here it starts dropping off, and at some point it doesn't really get any worse. If you have a 10 road, it's like war zone kind of condition. So how we decided to do this for the roads that we picked for the Roads 2026 referendum, it would be the Beta Group. They did the road assessment using LiDAR. They analyzed the data. John and JP compiled a program list that took the complaint list that we've been constantly receiving throughout the years, and also put in there roads that haven't been addressed in the last 25 years. They did a cost analysis of the current program, and we used that projected cost to determine how much the new program would be. So this is an amazing, amazing slide right here, how much that the council has supported the roads network in town. So since 2000, we've spent $163.1 million to reconstruct nearly 100 miles of road and 56 miles of preservation. Preservation means crack sealing, overlays, and the like. So that's an amazing figure that our road network is 183 miles, and so far we're at about 160. It's absolutely amazing that the town and the residents are behind it. So historically, in 2000, we were paying about $127 a foot for the roads. So what this means, with the 120, that foot is 24 feet wide, curbs and some, whatever, that's the average, was 127 feet to build 1 foot of roadway, one by 24. 2005, there's a lot of reconstruction. It went up to 313, 177, 292, and now right for the Roads 2021 program, which we're at the tail end of, we're averaging $364 a foot right now. And with newer costs that were coming in, we're going to be, we're almost pushing $450 a foot as of the end of this year. So that's for 1 foot. So this overview, so this, these are all the voting districts, and you can see that this was the roads program in 2010, so everything in red was done in 2010. 2005, or sorry, 2000. 2005 is the orange. 10 is green. 15 is blue. 21 is cyan, turquoise, cyan, something like that. So you can see there's a lot of roads that still, we're covering most of the town, and now when you put on the proposed list for 2026, we're covering almost the entirety of the town. There's a couple one-offs, there's a couple here and there, they're kind of floating around, but again, back to the point that the support from council, the support from the residents is amazing that this much work has been done, that we've touched on basically 160 miles of 183 miles in town is fantastic. So to recap what we've done so far in 2021, these are the streets that have been completed. We got 10.7 miles. And the ones with the asterisk show that these are the ones from the complaint list. So complaint list could be anything from you folks up here to either one of us getting emails stating that, they want the road redone and the like, or we get it from the manager or whatever it is. So those are where we add those on, and we will make sure that we keep recording all those things throughout the year that we get. Right now, we're contracted. We got 1.32 miles still left to do for Broadleaf, Harrison, Summer, Ridge, and Holly, which will be happening next year. And under design right now are Willstar, Martin Terrace, Homestead, Haynes, and that. So we still have about 3 more miles to go, and we're pretty good. We're doing very well financially with this. Right now, we've spent about $20,600,000 out of the project, but we haven't totaled up what. We still got some end of the year bills, so this was current to date. So we got some end of the year coming. So we'll see how it pans out for next year. But right now we seem to be on track. So to get the cost per foot, again, we took the amount of roads, we used 20% inflation, and right now, for our estimating, I said it's hard to believe that we went from 100 and something a few years ago, which to me, 20 years,
A century ago.
quarter
of a century ago.
it's a few years ago. I was trying to make a joke. So now $450 a foot. $450 a foot it's a lot. So that's for reconstruction. So methodology. All of our roads, when they're redesigned for anything, everything is designed for a 20-year life cycle. So anything that has been reconstructed is designed, the pavement thickness, the gravel thickness, all that is designed to last 20 years. They used the 2025 management report. We addressed all the complaint list streets. We They've done some that, and they haven't been touched in 25 years. And one of the biggest things now we're trying to do is, when I first got here, which seemed like a few years ago, but it was 13 years ago, was we worked in segments, street segments, sort of like Ridge Road. So if you're coming up St. James or Ridge Road to your right, there was two segments there. One was a better condition and one was not. So we did segments. Now we're doing whole streets, and now we're trying to just wrap up whole neighborhoods. So there isn't a stray 2 streets or 1 or 2 streets that are out there. So we're trying to just finish off neighborhoods and get everybody somewhat on the right track. And they also just tried to distribute the work evenly in each voting district. So our draft list has these streets for District 1, and they have no complaint list on that.
No, not on that one. Actually, when you say that, because of all the streets that we've done, we do receive less complaints than we have in the past,
Yeah.
so.
So in District 2, we have a whole bunch of streets. District 3, I know these had a lot of complaints over here, but,
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
I'm sorry, hold on, Marie.
What you want to
Sure, there you go.
give us the whole presentation.
Yeah, it's gonna be-
And then we don't have to take pictures, so
Okay.
that'd be great.
Do you want to do? There's 3 and there's 4. And with that program, again, this is right now, this is a recommended one that we're trying to, we're just trying to keep up with all the great progress that we've had. Again, it's going to be in the $40 million range for what we've done. So again, here's the draft program. Again, this could be modified. Just again, I'll get to that in a few minutes. But again, this is the draft program for 2026 as it stands. And again, the closing comments, and I mentioned this earlier, but again, during the last 25 years, we've done a lot. The council and the residents have done a lot to make sure that we have, again, our gold standard for roads. 83% of the town we have touched in those 25 years. And again, it's to the success for counselors, managers, and the residents who've given us the funding and allowed us to do it. In all the roads that we've done so far, 17% already now past their useful life from the beginning, which is hard to imagine that we're already at that point where the stuff that we did in 2000 is already aged out and is ready for replacement already. And that's kind of hard. When you think about it, it's kind of hard to comprehend it because it just seems like it just happened, but those technically could actually go back on the list again, even though we did them 20 years ago. And again, we really appreciate the support of council and the town manager and all the voters for the program. And our next steps from you folks and through the town manager is either setting a funding amount and a program duration and years. Now, that one seems kind of counterintuitive, but we've had a lot of agita sometimes about the length of again, being a 5-year program, because sometimes people, it's 5 years is a long time, and some of those people that are on the list don't get that at their 5th year because, let's say that the residents do vote this in let's say next November. By the time funding gets allotted to us through John Wilcox and Finance, by the time we're able to go out and get bids, by the time we do all that coordination, sometimes we're already a year and a half behind. So some of those roads are 6.5 years out sometimes by the time we do that, just because of the way the funding is. But I'd rather have that than at least have a program than to have to worry about that. So that's one of the next steps we're going to have to discuss actively between all of you and the town manager and Steve to get through this and see what direction we want to go. But right now, that is it. So thank you. And we're open for questions.
Thank you, Donald. If we could get this up on the website as well, and if you want to send the council copies in our email of this, and actually the snow presentation might be good for us to have in our emails as well. That'd be helpful.
Get that out to you in the morning.
So I guess I have a question regarding any of, I guess, the road projects. Do we try as best we can to coordinate with the utility companies in order to pick a time, like if we know we're going to do a road and it's slated for, a range of period of time, do we reach out to the utility companies and try to coordinate with them? Again, I know sometimes there's an emergency and we can't do anything about it, so we don't do this twice, right?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the program, so let's say this does pass in November and things are going, things are going well after we pass it, then what we do is we do have a coordination meeting with all of the utilities involved. We get them in one room. We send out these information first. That's why we don't want to propose a year by year for this. We just want to propose the streets because we're trying to figure out if Eversource Gas has to take over this section, so they need a year or two out, or whatever the utility needs time. That's when we adjust, and that turns into quite a calculus problem at times where you got to make a decision on whether, okay, gas can wait and we got to get going with this or whatever. But we do active coordination. We send them all the information. We get them at the time we were in the infield room, but we'll get them somewhere else and go through the whole thing and ask for their comments. And so now they have to go back, and whether some of them have to go to Pura to go get the funding or the authorization to go do some of these streets, or they just let it go, that's up to them. But we do actively coordinate with them.
And for the residents' sake, if a utility company has to come in and they have to cut through a road to do something, I'm assuming somebody from the town goes out, inspects their reconstruction or patchwork or whatever they do after they've done their work, and then sort of signs off on it, right?
Pre or post construction?
Just in general. So let's say, I guess pre and post. So if a utility company comes in on Main Street and says, we need to cut up a part of a road, whether it's brand new or 10 years old, whether the index is at an 88 or a 48, it doesn't matter. We have somebody from the town go and sort of review the work that they did, not the utility work, but the road work afterwards, right? Inspect it?
The restoration part of it?
Yeah, sure. Whatever they've done to it.
Yeah. You wanna-
We have somebody inspect it, right?
It's done through the road cut permits, yes. They
Okay.
have to come in and get a permit, and depending on the condition of the roads, and we maintain a list of roads that are a PCI of 80 or over, they have to do a mill and pave curb to curb for the permanent pavement repair on those roads. Whereas if it's less than 80, typically they only have to come back and cut 1 foot each side of the initial trenching to do that. But as far as
Two-stage.
right, the two-stage, right? They typically, when they do a cut, they make the cut they need for whatever they're putting in, water or gas, and then they do a temporary patch with hot mix, and then they're supposed to wait a minimum of 3 months for any settlement, because no matter how much you compact, there's typically settlement. And after the 3-month period, they have to come back, do a cutback, or like I said, if it's over 80 PCI, they have to do a mill and pave, excuse me, curb to curb. So,
Oh, okay, so that's good to know. So for those residents who have, work done by a utility company and they have a brand-new
Yes.
looking road and they're not happy with the way it looks, we can tell them, hey, they may be back in 3 months after things settle, they may not be done. Okay.
correct. It
Good.
depends on the road. And again, that road list is under the road opening permits. So all the utilities and contractors, they know ahead of time, and we tell them anyway before we issue permits.
Okay, thank you. Any
So
questions?
Gino,
Yeah,
Mayor,
go
one
ahead.
more thing. To John's point, so because milling the roadways is expensive for the contractors, they'll wait. Sometimes they'll wait till they have 10, 15, 20 road cuts or patches to go do. So some of that stuff their 3 months could have been up in June, but they won't bring a contractor in to go do that mill and pave restoration until August or October, or whatever it is. So they'll do 15, 20 at a time and get it. So they only have to pay for mobilization of those giant machines once. So some of those patches may linger a little longer, but they're just doing that for their convenience.
But we know that.
We know that, yes.
We know that,
They let us know.
and we've signed off on, okay.
Yeah, they let us
That's fine.
know. Typically, yes, Eversource Gas does that, and I know Hasbro Water does that, and they'll give us a list that we have, we have the permits, but they'll give us a list of locations that they're packaging, if you will.
Right, we're tracking that. Okay, thank you. Counselor Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. More of a comment, and I do have one question. So over the course of the years, I remember I was here for the first roads referendum, and I think all the others that we got passed. Just a comment that I think over the course of all these years that we've gotten these roads referendums passed, I think we've learned how to fine-tune some of the complaints and requests, and I think that's why we've consistently been able to get these passed, because it's never really turned into a political football. And I think you've done a great job in managing what gets done and when. And I think it goes to why the residents have such great faith in the fact that it's done fairly. We take all the complaints into consideration. Originally, when we were doing good roads first, I think the general public had a problem with that, because they're like, I literally can't drive down my road. There's so many potholes, it's all dirt. And we kind of moved away from that a little bit and tried to take those really horrible roads into consideration. So I think it's been an evolution, and I think it's been a well-managed program, and I think that's why you consistently get people to vote for these referendums, because referendums are tough. And if you don't manage them properly, or they see some shenanigans going on and this person wasn't supposed to be done and they got bumped up to the top, people aren't going to support those kind of projects. So I think you guys have done a great job. So my question is, if we know, let's say this passes in November, we know all the roads that you have proposed right now, can you get a jump start on the plan? You said there's a delay between the funding and when everything actually happens. Is there a way to fast track that, seeing that you have a plan? I mean, how do you eliminate that lag time? There's got to be a way to do it, right? So
Yeah.
that's my question.
The biggest thing is that utility coordination up first. That's the biggest thing, is we don't want to be doing roads that they know that they could, or they want to upgrade their facilities with. Then after that, that's when, you could take that.
Well, the other problem with the lag is that the vote is in November, so we can't even bring on design firms to come in, and they have to do survey work. It's already winter, so they can't do the survey work in the winter. If we could do the referendum vote in, earlier in the year, we'd be able to get, feet on the ground to do the survey. So that's kind of where we lose a lot of ground in that. I don't know that we can change that. But
Okay.
you understand what we're saying? It's voted in November, the beginning of November. By the time we can't get consultants on till we know we're going to be funded. And then by the time we get consultants on, for them to get surveyors out on the street, it's winter, and they really can't do that survey work at that time for, because there's snow on the ground or what have you. So
when is the earliest you can get surveyors out to really start the work? I mean,
Well, as long as there's no snow on like the curb lines and stuff, so they can get elevations. But they're trying to find the edge of the roads and the elevation of the edge of the road, or locate features along it. So that, the middle of the road is typically fine, but if there's any sort of snowbank whatsoever, that throws us all off.
so basically when the snow goes,
Yep.
they can get out there. But all the other work that we need to do ahead of that, contact the utility companies and all that.
Yeah, that's
we
all
Can,
in-
we can do all that. We're
Correct.
just waiting for the surveyors to get out there.
Correct, because
And
once
if-
we determine those years, then we can go out and say, give us a price for, we can secure our engineers, and they can book it and accordingly, so.
So all that prep work can be done before the actual surveyors get out there.
Correct.
And so
Yep.
maybe we can tighten that timeline a little bit,
There
right?
is a way to get ahead of that.
Okay.
And I know that's something that every 5 years when I was here before, we'd get into this conversation. And there's risk. The risk is that the referendum doesn't get passed, but you could start, the design on those next set of roads. You budget the money through the CIP for those next set of roads. Now, odds are, if you don't pass a referendum, you're probably still going to do an element of those roads because they need to be done. We just have to figure out, the money that's available to get them done. So I think you could set it up in some way so you do have, going into the referendum, already having the engineering going for those roads that are going to be the first ones done in the roads 2026 in this case. So, I
you
mean,
could-
it can
you
be
could-
done.
It can be done.
It can be
Okay.
done, but again, you have to take a little bit of risk and you have to spend a little bit of money that, isn't covered through that referendum to handle that.
And we have money still in this account from roads 2021, or no? It's all expended, or?
So far, we've expended for construction just about 21 to 22 million. There are some other costs in there for like interest and bond costs and all that kind of things like that. So we're going to be coming in on fumes.
To what? I'm sorry.
We're going to be about 30 million when we're done.
Okay, all
And,
right.
and with the way the referendum was listed or written, we have an ancillary list, it's called. So if we had, let's say, 50
Extra,
streets and we
yeah.
finish those 50, we can move on to the next set, of whatever, but we have to make sure that if we're going to start some of those roads, if you want to use referendum money, those have to be on that ancillary list.
Right.
So there's like I said, and there's also risk to that. If they're not on that list, that means we're using regular funds, and that comes out of the budget. And to Matt's point,
So how many of the roads are on that list that we didn't get completed yet?
I don't,
Like on?
The ancillary list.
eh,
I don't think
No,
we're
we-
gonna be able to hit any ancillary list.
No, because we still have the two projects that Donald showed that are under design.
She's asking how many are on the ancillary list.
Yes, how many
Not
do
that
you
we're
have
doing,
on
how
that
many are
list?
just
You're
on there?
saying you have
I'd
extra,
have to, I don't know off the top of my head.
are those on this?
Yes, they are. I know a
Somebody said
couple
no,
of
somebody
streets
said
that
yes.
wanted to be on the 21, one being Sword Ave, and I know the area by Ryfield Drive and High Meadow. Those were on the ancillary list. I can't tell you the whole list, but those streets, yes, are on this.
This list?
This list,
So
yes,
they've
they
made
are.
it from that
Yes,
to
because they would have
this
still
list?
they would have still been on the complaint list.
Okay.
The ancillary, so.
Gotcha.
In answer to your question, yes, they are most definitely on this list.
This list,
But
okay.
we're not anticipating that, like Donald said, we're coming in on fumes.
So
We're
they're
gonna-
not going to hit this
We're not
last
going to be
one?
touching the ancillary.
Okay,
We're
gotcha.
getting the list done.
But we
That-
did pass them through to this one, which is
Yes,
probably more,
They are
the
on
more
this list,
important
yes.
thing.
And they
Okay.
would have been, those would have been on the complaint list. So
Okay.
they are checked off. And the ones that, again, come to my mind right off the bat one was Sword Ave.
Yep.
And then the streets up in Ryfield and High Meadow. I know those were on the list, because those were areas that were actually on the bubble when we talked about last time. Are we doing 30 million, or are we doing more? And so I know those were, they were on the ancillary list, and they are on this list.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you, I'm sorry to take so much time. Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Thank you. So just go back. On an annual basis, how much are we spending for road repair now? $8 million. Is that right?
Oh, well, for this year, yes.
For this year? So that's what we spent this year.
Oh, yeah, this is the biggest one. This year was we were very busy.
Right. And we pay for that by issuing debt, correct? So we issue $8 million in bonds, and we then pay that over time,
Minus 500,000 a year.
minus $500,000 a year. And where's the $500,000 a year?
That's the money we get from the state through no?
that 500,000 comes from CIP, then it's offset through low SIP funds, not
Low
lot
SIP.
SIP, low SIP funds. So last year, we got 440 something, so the 500 minus the 440, the
Right,
town
which is a
put in
formulaic grant that we get every year for
Correct.
X number of dollars,
Right.
which we use for that, right? So that's offset, but it's all debt funding. It's not budgeted. correct?
Correct.
Through the mayor to the town manager.
Correct.
Correct, right, right. And so, for example, this $8 million, we pay that off over
I think it's, we're
years?
doing 15 years.
15 years.
believe.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And what we're going to be doing in this next round is basically replacing, we're going to be, I mean, it's going to cost us more, right? You told us that to do the same number of miles of road, that $8 million is going to become what?
Could be 10, 11.
10 or 11 million dollars in debt that we will have to issue to finance this,
Well, to,
minus whatever lots of grant we get from the state.
right. So to echo what Councilor Hall said, if you look at where it says 2022, the referendum passed in 21, and this was for design work, 282,000. Then that's the lag that we were talking about. So the first year we're not going to be outlaying anywhere near that amount. But then once the construction season for the following year comes on, that's when you see that
Correct.
he's going higher and higher.
Right, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that. And then, can we go back, there was the chart that you had that sort of had the scale or the graph of deteriorating quality.
Yep.
Okay, so if you were to put on the bottom axis years, where is year 1, where is year 3, where is year 5? So when do you start to get from blue to green to red? Like, is that, if you move your cursor a little bit to my right, keep going down, keep going down, keep going right, right there. So what year is that roughly?
If
Is that
nothing,
year 10?
if nothing is done, you're looking at anywhere between 15 to 20 years at that point.
At that point, right? So, okay, so it takes you 15 years to get from the blue to the top of the red.
If nothing is done, but through our.
Nothing's done. Okay,
Right,
I
but-
just wanted to, I just didn't have sense of like life cycle
Right, and-
from that.
And like I said, it is a precipitous drop after that because that's just the inherent properties of
Yep.
blacktop, that it just goes quick.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
So we're going to have to, at some point, have that conversation about the amount, timing, and everything else that goes with roads 25.
I think if we
2026.
have some sort of estimate on your suggested list on what that looks like, was that 41?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's something that we can talk about pre-budget, maybe in goal setting.
Well, I think time frame wise, if and probably one of the first conversations is, when do you want this to go to the voters?
Right.
Obviously, we're looking at November 2026 as the time frame to try to keep it on the 5-year cycle. There's a lot going on as it relates to big projects. So I think that's a conversation you need to have. And then the second one is, okay, if you're going to do it in 2026, we probably need to make that decision a lot sooner rather than later, just to get through all the different things we need to do to get it on the ballot. So budget's probably too late to have those conversations.
Right. Okay.
January, February is probably the sweet spot for making that decision.
Okay. All right. That's
And
something
so
we'll-
goal setting is probably a good time frame for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourn? All right, all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, are we ready? According to my clock, it is 7 o'clock. All right, thank you. I'd like to call the regular meeting of December 15th, 2025 to order, starting with the prayer or moment of silence by Councilor Crissati.
Good evening, everyone. As we gather for our final meeting before the holiday season, I want to take a moment to express my appreciation for the continued engagement, cooperation, and hard work shown by our residents, staff, and fellow council members throughout the year. This time of year gives us an opportunity to reflect on what we've accomplished together, whether it's strengthening community services, improving our town's infrastructure, or working through the many issues that come before this council. None of this happens without dedication, conversation, and collaboration from all corners of our community. As we look forward to the new year, I'm confident that the same spirit of teamwork and commitment will continue to guide us. I also want to extend my warm wishes to everyone, and may you enjoy a safe, peaceful, and joyful holiday season with your family, friends, and loved ones. And then at this time, I also would like to take a moment of silence for the tragedies that have happened at Brown University, in Sydney, Australia, and Los Angeles, California. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Roll call, please.
Sorry. Counselor Crissati.
Here.
Counselor Hall.
Here.
Counselor Mangini.
Here.
Counselor Matthews.
Here.
Counselor Pisner.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Here.
Counselor Thomas.
Here.
Counselor Ungary.
Here.
Counselor Zanoni.
Here.
Counselor Allegro.
Here.
And Mayor Sakala.
Here.
11 members are present, none are absent.
Thank you. Next is the fire evacuation announcement. In the event of emergency or a fire, there are 2 exits, one in the rear, one to my left. In either exit, please go down the stairs and a safe way away from the building. Meetings of the preceding minutes, starting with special meeting December 1st, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second.
Motions first and second. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Sensing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? 11 in favor, none against. Regular meeting of December 1st, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second. Any discussion, additions, or deletions? Sensing none, all in favor of approving the minutes? 11 in favor, none against. Thank you very much. Next, number 6, special guest. We have Alex Paradise. Come on up. We have a proclamation, and Councilor Matthews is going to read that. Alex is an Eagle Scout. Thank you.
Proclamation honoring Eagle Scout Alex Paradis. Whereas, after years of dedicated service with the Boy Scouts of America, Alex Paradis chose to support Enfield Loaves and Fishes by designing and building a new storage shed for the soup kitchen, thereby enhancing the organization's ability to serve the community. And whereas Alex has volunteered at Loaves and Fishes for the past 2 years, and when approached about earning the rank of Eagle Scout, he met with Maya Nicole Matthews, Executive Director of Enfield Loaves and Fishes, to determine the organization's greatest needs. And whereas Alex identified a hand-built storage shed as the perfect solution for his Eagle Scout project, addressing the soup kitchen's long-standing need for space to store donations from local farmers and helping streamline its operations. And Whereas Alex successfully raised over $1,000 during a fundraiser hosted at Red Robin, thanks to the generosity and support of the community. And whereas in June, construction of the shed began with the assistance of fellow scouts from Troop 108 and family members. After dedicating more than 30 hours to planning and building, the shed was completed in September, and Alex proudly handed over the keys to Enfield Loaves and Fishes. Now, therefore, Gina Sakala, Mayor of the Town of Enfield, on behalf of the Town Council, the Town Administration, and the entire community, do hereby extend our congratulations to Alex in recognition of attaining Scouting's highest and most distinguished honor, the rank of Eagle Scout. And there is your proclamation. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you very much, Alex. A very worthwhile project and cause. We appreciate it. Number 7 on the agenda is public communications and petitions. Any resident of Enfield or taxpayer who wishes to address the council shall be recognized by myself and state their name and address for the record. You will be limited to 5 minutes in the first round, 3 minutes if you would like to speak for the second round. During public communications, item 7 on the agenda, you will get 2 rounds. During public communications and item 14, you will get 1 round, and that will be limited to 3 minutes. It should be limited to 1 hour unless extended by a majority vote of council. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. All remarks addressed to the administration of the town shall be addressed to the town manager and not individual employees, please. And public members shall observe proper decorum and good conduct and refrain from personalities. I do have our list. I don't know if it is complete, but first on the list is Pam Townsend. Come on up, Pam. I was looking at you, George. I didn't know if you should be on here.
Good evening. Okay. My name's Pam Townsend, 54 Kimberly Drive. I'm here tonight representing the members of the John Micholik American Legion Auxiliary Unit 154. They host Enfield's Wreaths Across America ceremony. And we thank everyone that took part in this year's Wreaths Across America events, our fundraiser at Mount Carmel, the convoy, or the ceremony on Saturday. We would love to express our appreciation to each veteran organization, business, sponsor, and volunteer individually, but 5 minutes isn't enough time, so I will simply say thank you. Because of you, Enfield, the convoy has stopped in Enfield for the 9th time. After the convoy drove past each of our schools, thank you to everyone who came out and cheered them on. There was a ceremony on the town green and a luncheon for the drivers that was hosted by the Enfield Veterans Council. There are 2 location coordinators here in Enfield for Wreaths Across America. Myself for St. Patrick's Cemetery and Kelly Davis of the Daughters of the American Revolution for King Street Cemetery. Enfield's primary ceremony is at St. Patrick's Cemetery. Because of our outstanding sponsors and volunteers, we honored 2,664 of Enfield's heroes. We have over 5,000, and our goal is to honor all of Enfield's heroes. There were over 950 wreaths received during last year's Wreath Match promotion, which is you buy one, get one free. I am sharing this because right now, through December 31st, there is a sponsor one, get one promotion, buy one, get one promotion. If you plan to sponsor a wreath, please do it now. This is the best time to do it. And you can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org/CTSPC and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and select a fundraising group. You must go through a fundraising group in order to receive the second wreath. In addition to the wreath, the group receives $5 back. And again, you must select one of the groups in order to get that second wreath free. This is a great opportunity to increase the number of veterans that we can honor in 2026. Plus, you support a local nonprofit. And if you have questions or prefer to write a check, you may contact me at enfieldwaa@yahoo.com. I will close with a quote given to me by Reach Across America, but the author is unknown. Volunteers are the only human beings on the face of the earth who reflect this nation's compassion, unselfish caring, patience, and just plain loving one another. When I first read this quote, I thought of you, Enfield. I am very fortunate doing this mission. I get to see the true hearts of Enfield, and it's pretty awesome. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a healthy New Year, and if you enjoy your freedom, thank a vet. Have a great night.
Thank you, Pam. Not yet. You're not on the list yet. Lucian's next.
I go before you. Lucian Lefebvre, 54 Kimberly Drive, also chairman of the Enfield Veterans Council. I'm here to say, to start the 250th celebration of the United States, the Enfield Veterans Council will host a Veterans Appreciation event on Friday, January 16th from 3 to 8 in the council chambers here. We have a date of January 23rd if there's inclement weather on the 16th. This will be done in blocks. We did it in 1-hour blocks because we sent out over 1,100 invites, and we don't know how many we're going to get back. So we're letting the person that responds pick the block, the 1-hour block they want to come in for. So we're doing it from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. Like I said, there were 1,124 invitations sent out either by mail or email. The RSVP date is tomorrow, 16 December. The invitations were sent out mid-November, and the ones that went out in the mail had a self-addressed stamped envelope to return it to us. For the veterans that reside in assisted living facilities, we will visit them at their residence. We'll be visiting Parkway Pavilion on January 20th at 10:30 a.m. All-American Assisted Living on January 20th at 1:30 p.m. Little Sisters of the Poor on January 21st at 1 p.m. and Suffield on the River on January 22nd at 2 p.m. So our goal is to show our appreciation to all the veterans in the great town of Enfield. And we look forward to having good weather on the 16th of January and not have to postpone to the 22nd. And this is our kickoff to the 250th for the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucian. Mr. Young, you're on the list.
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. I'll try to remember to sign in going forward. I had a couple of items, and one of them goes back to last month when I talked about speed plates instead of speed bumps, and I've asked Mr. Zanoni to look into a couple items that I have. The second thing I have is the last resolution we have, 13J. I just wonder if the council has run out of things to do. I doubt it. You're seeking applications for a new town attorney. Why are we wasting time interviewing and sending applications to fill a position that seems to be handled with the utmost competence? That's my question. The last thing I want to mention is Resolution 13E. We want to waive the bid requirement to spend $200,000 for the Enfield Joint Operations Center. This is just another thing that happens through lack of budgeting ahead of time. Obsolescence doesn't happen overnight. Most of this is planned, and this is planned obsolescence. Now, if you're going to take $200,000 of what's left of this year's budget for that, I don't know why you don't look at the TIF funding and take the money out of there and do not affect our current year budget. That was my point of that question. Thanks. That's it for tonight.
Thank you, George. Anyone else? Mary Ann Turney, come on up. Sheila, I'm allowed to just write those on here, right? Okay.
Mary Ann Turner, 7 Meadow Road. Well, congratulations, everybody. It's nice to see you all, Madam Chairman. I'm actually here to talk about economic development. I was listening to the past meeting, and as Economic Development Chairman at the moment, one of the things that I had asked is that we be given a project. Now, Madam Chairman and councilors, I'm here tonight to speak in support, excuse me, just ran upstairs from my other meeting. I'm here tonight to speak in support of having the Economic Development Commission oversee the facade program that's using TIF money, and explain why the approach is not only logical, but consistent with how this town has successfully managed similar programs in the past. First, some history. The Economic Development Commission developed the TIF program. We wrote it, we launched it, we understand its intent, its mechanics, and its long-term goals. When the ARPA funding came available, the Economic Development Committee was once again asked to set it up, and I spent my summer writing it. The full economic development team worked together to refine it. We designed it, and a process was clear, accessible, and fair. And if we remember right, we got some pretty good accolades from the council. The effort resulted in 52 applications that the Economic Development reviewed carefully and thoroughly, and we did the work without bias, without politics, and without nonsense. We kept it fair, objective, and focused on the results, making sure that the town of Enfield reaped real benefits from every dollar spent, like Collins Creamery or Corona's Market. They're just examples of where we benefited from that. The program worked and the businesses benefited, and the track record is what matters, which brings me to the facade program. It simply doesn't make sense to remove the program from the vibrant, well-oiled Economic Development Commission and hand it off to a much smaller body when the experience, capability, and institutional knowledge already exists. And I can prove it. The EDC has repeatedly asked for a substantive new project. I raised this directly with the town manager when he first came, and Councilor Santinelli and I have chatted about it a few times. This, quite frankly, is the perfect project for economic development. Let's talk about capacity. The TIF committee consists of 2 counselors who are extremely busy. I mean, there's nothing, you guys don't sit around all day with nothing to do, and 3 volunteers. The Economic Development Commission has 6 active members. I think Ms. Pisner is our liaison, and I believe Mr. Santinelli was our previous one. And with plans to fill the remaining 3 seats that we have in January, and that's where I have an idea. This will also be, there'll be more eyes on the applications, broader perspective, and stronger oversight. The facade program requires a clean program, which is right now in draft. A careful and consistent application review, clear evaluation standards we learned from our previous project, business-friendly outreach, which we already do, and ongoing oversight and assessment, which we can absolutely do. That's exactly the work that the EDC is designed to do and has already done successfully. This is not about turf. It's about good governance, and it's about how we treat our volunteers. Every member of the Economic Development Commission is a volunteer, and the volunteers should be cherished, encouraged, and made to feel useful. And when you have capable and engaged commissioners asking for meaningful work, and then limit the things that we get to organize, like Restaurant Week, I'm not taking anything from it, that's not the best use of our time and talent and our commitment to the town. If we want strong volunteer boards, we must trust them with real responsibility. If the concern is coordination or inclusion, I have a way to solve it. Take the 2 TIF committee members and add them to the Economic Development Committee. I'm not saying take them away from TIF. They need to stay there because they have a very important job. But toss them in our side because we have a couple seats open and they'd be more than welcome to join us. At the end of the day, the question before us is straightforward. Do we place this program with a commission that's created the TIF framework, successfully administrated the $250,000 of ARPA business funds, reviewed 52 applications fairly and professionally, and had the capacity and experience and institutional knowledge? One more second, if you don't mind. Keep the facade program under economic development. It respects past successes, uses proven experience and expertise, and gives this program the chance to succeed for the businesses and residents of Enfield. I'd like you to take it into consideration. My economic development team met the other night, and everyone is willing to take on the project. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Mary Ann.
one last thing. I hope you keep the town attorney. Honestly, he has been one of the best.
Is there anyone else in the audience who did not sign up who would like to speak before the council for the first time? Anyone for the second time? Okay, public communications is closed. Next is number 8, councilor communications and petitions. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have 2 things. First, Pam, I had the pleasure of being here when the convoy came rolling into Town Hall, and it's always quite a sight to see. This is the 4th or 5th time I've gotten a chance to do that. It was wonderful to participate in that. Again, the little ones in my family who got to go out and see the convoy go by the school, they came home with their wreaths that they made for that occasion. It was really spectacular, and it was great to have the opportunity to greet the drivers here at Town Hall. And Lucian gave me very, very specific instructions that day. Don't dilly-dally in the parking lot. It's cold. We need to get everybody inside. So I hope I met your expectations, Lucian. But it was a wonderful opportunity, and I'm very grateful to have had the chance to be here to welcome those folks. Next, I want to extend my thanks and gratitude to everyone who was involved in the Torchlight Parade last week. One of the pleasures I have of living on Enfield Street is I get parades coming by my house, and that night, Torchlight Parade night, is a night of the year that my entire family comes over with the kids. It is a big event for us. It's already in the calendar again for next year, but I know that there's a lot of effort that goes into putting that together, and then coming down here and doing the tree lighting and all of that. And so I just wanted to extend my appreciation to everybody who was involved in that event. It was spectacular, and it just seemed to be an extra long parade this year, and everybody just enjoyed themselves. So thank you, everybody, for all your work doing that. And those were the only 2 things I had.
Thank you. Councilor Ungary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple things. I'd like to thank Mary Ann for her suggestions. She gave us a couple thoughts to consider. To piggyback on Councilor Santinella, the parade was a great success. We had a wonderful turnout, and so nice to see all the families out by the road and participating, and gets everybody in a holiday spirit. I wanted to congratulate the Safe Grad Committee for the wonderful fundraiser that they had. The Jingle Jangle, do we have an exact number of how much was raised?
Close to 23,000.
Wow, that's wonderful. How wonderful for our high school seniors. That was a great success. Also, the Wreaths Across America was a beautiful ceremony. It always is. Nice job. I also wanted to congratulate Alex on his award tonight to Eagle Scout. That's quite an accomplishment and achievement. They don't just give those away. You have to work really hard and earn it. And thank you to your parents, too, or your family that's here, to help you get there and probably give you rides and help out. And so that's really a big congratulations to you for doing that. And you're really in good company. My short list for Eagle Scout is Harrison Ford, Steven Spielberg, Bill Gates, Neil Armstrong, President Ford, and I'm sure the list goes on and on. So who knows where your life is going to take you from here, but it's a great award, so congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor Ungary. Councilor Mangini?
Thank you. I too would like to congratulate Alex. I remember when Vinny was in Scouts with you, and it's great to see how far you've come. Good job, good work, excellent. And I also want to congratulate Pam for the wonderful turnout, Wreaths Across America, tremendous organization, and you've done a wonderful job getting everyone together. And also I want to shout out to Kelly Davis, my DAR partner, and I think between the two organizations, we're going to have it covered, fully covered by next year. So again, you've done fantastic work, Pam. Also, I want to mention that the Warming Center and Bandits Place had a fundraiser on Saturday night at La Notte, and it was a great turnout, and I think they probably did pretty well. They are able now to open extended hours that they were hoping to get financing for, so they've accomplished that goal, which is a good thing. We won't have people that are going to be left out in the cold for any period of time, so I'm happy to report. I'm sorry, report that. Through our mayor to our town manager, I have a concern, a traffic concern at JFK. After school, there are some activities that take place. Today was a good day to illustrate some of the safety concerns. Mondays and Wednesdays, it appears that they have the after-school activities. And what I observed by picking Carrie up, I observed a couple of students walking on the sidewalk, trying to cross directly to the ice skating rink to get to that area. There's no traffic control. There's no police officer. So I was watching in my car from a distance, and fortunately the two students were able to get across safely, but the cars are just coming down and they're really not paying attention. And I would like to request that we could maybe have an officer that is on duty in that area, maybe just swing by at that time, like around 4:05, maybe for 15 minutes until the traffic clears, because it's extremely dangerous for those kids. And, hopefully, there will not be an accident. So I just wanted to bring that forward. And then I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mangini. I'm going to do Councilor Matthews and then Councilor Prisner and then.
Through the mayor to the town manager, I'm fairly sure that I'm not the only person that is concerned about the traffic on especially Hazard Ave and Elm Street. I'm also doubly concerned about that, thinking that if we don't kind of get ahead of this and we keep developing on those two roads, we're going to run into a huge problem, especially for the residents that live on those roads. I have heard in the past of a grant that the state offers that may be able to help us out with this. I was wondering if you had some ideas or could explain to us what you think might be a future solution to these issues.
Well, I think you're thinking of a federal grant, the Safe Streets for All. That's the one, yes. That is something that we could look to apply for. I believe the application process starts or is due in May. Something other communities I've been in, we've taken advantage of, and it looks at dangerous spots throughout the whole community and proposes different traffic calming solutions for those areas. Kind of a sidelight, I think, public safety is also looking at Hazard Avenue, and we kind of brainstormed a little bit about some of the old plans that were put out there for the corridor study. But I think that is something that we could look into related to the Safe Streets for All grant. I believe CROG actually did a regional grant that could cover us, but not really specific. And towns like West Hartford, trying to think a few other, I think Glastonbury, have already started or had already taken up that grant as well to look at their safety issues within the town roads. So that is something that we can put together an option for council to apply for.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay. Counselor Pisner?
So I had the great pleasure of being in that convoy, and it was amazing. I'm not going to lie. I held back tears most of the time. I got to really know my driver. He was from Bedford, Pennsylvania, and it was just an amazing opportunity, and I thank Lori and Pam and everybody for all you do. And again, it was just an amazing opportunity for me, something I'm never going to forget. Lucian, I'm on the committee with you for the Vets 250th, and so we're working really hard. It's a great group. I know Councilor Mangini's on it as well, and we are hoping that our veterans do take part and come that night. The reason why we're doing it in blocks is, as you said, there are so many veterans because our town is such a patriotic town. George, it is TIF money for that, for the resolution. It is. Hmm?
No effect on the budget?
No, it's TIF money that we are using for that. It was decided, so just to clarify that. I believe last 2 meetings ago, we did have Aaron come down here and talk to us, and Councilor Santinella, keep me legal on this, but it is something that, as far as us looking at the facade program, we were keeping within the TIF committee. Wasn't that something we decided on? Okay, because, and it was something that Aaron actually recommended. Okay, so I just wanted to have everybody understand it is something that was recommended by staff, and so that we are the ones that he felt would be the right ones to look at it, although I do appreciate economic development and all they do. Torchlight Parade was great. I think our new kid, Mayor Ben, was amazing. He knew more people on the side of the road than I think we did. Right? I mean, every other kid, he was going to shake their hand and give them a hug. He was just a sweetheart, and he was so excited to turn the tree on. And it is always my favorite parade. And it really wasn't very cold, so we got really, really lucky. And other than that, I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, happy, safe New Year's to everybody, and we'll be back in 2026.
Thank you. Counselor Zanoni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So first, congratulations, Alex. I was a Boy Scout. I was not able to pass my swimming test, so I ended up having to leave because it's a requirement to move forward. Pam and Lucian, thank you so much for the organization that you did. It's always meaningful to go and place wreaths for, I have grandparents who served in the military to go do that. Mr. Young, through the mayor to the town manager, if we could get a cost comparison, for instance, just kind of an overview of, for instance, if we were to put in some type of traffic calming measure on Abbey Road, what that would cost in comparison to what we've spent on police enforcement to mitigate violations of traffic laws on that road. Because I think there's long-term conversations if we invest the infrastructure, we won't be spending as much money on enforcement. And I think having an overview of what those costs could be in perspective, especially on Abbey Road, given it's one of the most repeated offenders, would be beneficial for the public. And I share your sentiments regarding the town attorney. I'll save those comments for later. And Mrs. Turner's comments were already addressed, so those are my only things. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Crissati?
Yep, thank you. I just have a couple of quick announcements. I'm not going to rehash everything, but Wreaths Across America, all the events that took place, all the fundraising that took place, it was a pleasure attending all of the events, and Lucian and Pam, great job. Torchlight Parade was another highlight, a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week? Losing track of time here. There is one thing that I just want to mention, that through the mayor to the town manager, I've had several residents get in contact with me about putting up the skating rink again at Powder Hollow. And the weather has been perfect for it to get a little outdoor activity for the youth and for our residents. So if we could look into that, that would be awesome. I know that we do have the materials for it, We've utilized the skating rink before, and I think it'd be a benefit to have that up there. The other thing I just want to mention, that monies are still coming in for the Powder Hollow dugouts. I know I gave the town manager a nice generous check from Burrill Realty Group today, and we want to thank them for their generous contribution to the dugouts. Also, 2 dates, December 16th at JFK at 6:30, a holiday concert by the music department, and then over at Enfield High School on December 18th at 6:30, the Enfield High Concert Band, Jazz Band, and Unified Sound, which is a fantastic group where kids with disabilities work with the people in the band and orchestra, and it's excellent. You get an opportunity, come out and see. Lastly, Alex, congratulations on your Eagle Scout work, and nice project that you did. Excellent. Should be proud of that. And that's it. I already said have a nice holiday to everybody to open up the meeting, and thanks.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. Matt, that light that we talked about on Route 5 at the Torchlight Parade is still putting on a nice light show. If we could look at that. Thank you to everyone who attended, donated, or planned the Jingle Jam for Safe Grad. It was a lot of fun, and thank you to a lot of you up here who attended. I appreciate that. Again, Wreaths Across America on Saturday was really moving, and we appreciate all of the hard work that goes into that. The Torchlight Parade, always a fun time, and Ben Grimsley should get an award. He ran back and forth from the side of the street to the other side of the street the entire time, and he looked like he just had the time of his life. And his brother was there walking with him and his parents, and he got to turn on the light. It was a lot of fun, so thank you to the fire departments, thank you to the town and everyone in the recreation department and whoever else was involved in planning the parade and the carol sing at the end. And lastly, happy holidays, so we don't keep you at the very end of the meeting. Merry Christmas, have a wonderful and safe New Year, and hopefully we'll get you out of here early tonight so you can see us again in 2026. Okay, so moving right along to number 9, Town Manager Report. Matt.
Good evening and Merry Christmas to everyone. Real quick, real quick. We received notice today that we got the LoCIP funding for the Abbey Road sidewalks. So that was something we thought we were going to get. Today we got official notice. Next step is to get the engineering done and then hopefully be able to get that project going sometime in 26, 27. Related to the skating rink, ice skating rink in Powder Hollow, unfortunately, it hadn't been used. The materials hadn't been used in a few years, and when they pulled it out, we're going to have to replace it. We have a parts list, the materials list of about $4,000 to $5,000 to get that done, plus then the time to do it. So it's about $7,000 to $8,000 when all said and done to get that up. So I don't know if that's something the council wants to move forward with or not.
The only thing I could say is maybe we can bring it up to the Leisure Committee and then bring it to the council.
Yeah, I think that's a fine idea. I think it's something that we sort of batted around discussing in budget to make maybe a semi-permanent or permanent rink in a different location next year or the year after.
Yeah, and I think that's a very valuable conversation
I think
to
that's
have
something we
because,
should talk
again, you know, the way that we're doing with these temporary, you're going to be replacing them every few years,
Yes.
and probably by the time, you know, if you had a permanent one, you would end up spending a lot less money. Plus, it'll be in a location that
better
everyone
location.
would want to come to. Yeah.
I agree. Okay. But yeah, if somebody wants to make a motion to sort of refer it to the Leisure Committee, we can have that go on. Whoever's on the Leisure Committee,
Well,
if people are okay with that.
I'll make a motion to refer the skating rink to the Leisure Committee for discussion.
Second.
All approved?
I think it's
Okay.
consensus
Just
that we're good with that.
consensus?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
very good.
the Leisure
Thank you.
Committee can have that. Thank you.
And the assistant town manager had one thing he wanted to communicate.
Just wanted to echo everyone's sentiment up there about the Torchlight Parade. I personally enjoy it. This year I dragged my wife along too, and she enjoyed it as well. The one little slight improvement I would like to offer is that maybe we can take a small fraction of our budget and get some candy canes. My wife and I bought candy canes. We ran out, and nothing kills me more than seeing families anticipating candy canes, and I'm fresh out. By the time I got to Councilor Santinella's house, I was sad because there was no more candy canes to give. So.
He did.
So if we can just, because there's, and to
In
echo.
the past 2 years, I did it.
Yes.
And last year, I bought 1,500, and I ran out of the little ones.
There's a lot of kids.
So I'm
and
just
they-
telling you, we all chip in next year, but that
Mhm.
was my last count, was 1,500. And I did not feel good the week before, and I didn't have a chance to go buy candy canes, so I felt
Well,
bad, but.
So I'm speaking for both of us. Yes. It wouldn't be a big investment to get these candy canes, but.
I do have one comment that I neglected to tell everybody in regard to the horse group that was there. It was nice to see them there, but however, the group, when they decided to leave, took the horse manure and threw it over the fence, which landed on my property and on my driveway, which I did not, I wasn't too happy about. So I just want to throw that out there. You might want to give them a call and say, next time, take your stuff with you.
Yeah, you guys may want to reflect on that a little.
They actually, with the shovel, threw it right onto the driveway. It was beautiful. I felt like I was at Ringling Barnum Bailey Circus.
That's good fertilizer. All right. Anything else from the town manager report? Okay. Moving. Oh, sure.
Laughing. I'll pull myself together here. Matt, on the piece you mentioned on Abbey Road, for those of us that weren't here, can you just fill us in on where that is, where it goes to, what it's for?
Yes.
I'm just curious.
This is going to be heading, direction fails me. So it's from, trying to find the map here as I'm stalling. If I could read the map. So it's going from Town Farm Road out to Broadbrook. And so there's going to be a section right off of Town.
Abbey's, right? So it's at the intersection of Town Farm and Abbey. It continues the.
Well,
Yeah.
the way that they've committed it, it's for Abbey Road sidewalks to Broadbrook.
Okay.
That's the other way.
Just for residents' understanding, it's not for sidewalks on Abbey Road.
no.
It's for sidewalks on Town Farm Road.
Between Broadbrook Road and Town Farm Road. So
It crosses over Abbey from the bike path, right?
So Abbey, so one part of Abbey goes out to Powder Hollow.
Right.
Right, that
Right,
way.
yep.
And then the other part of Abbey goes up to Broadbrook Road.
So you're saying it goes, when you come to the intersection of Abbey and Town Farm?
Yep.
You go right on Abbey. It's for all the sidewalks going to the right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's down in front of your house. So
Yes,
it comes
that's South
around
Abbey.
by Buckhorn, up that.
Yeah.
How far does it go? Because the sidewalks don't go all the way down
Well,
to
there's a
Broadbrook.
section right off of Town Farm Road that this project's going to touch. And then, I can't really tell what road that is. That's really
Can you get
political.
us,
Grant, it's upside down.
Oh, excuse me, Grant. So from Grant the rest of the way to Broadbrook.
okay, because there's not sidewalks there now.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be new
fills that-
sidewalks.
Yeah, brand new sidewalk. This is a gap project, so
So-
it fills in the gaps.
So my question is, with that, have we had hearings and discussions with the neighbors on Abbey?
So this started out, I believe, as part of the roads 2021. It was included in that,
Okay.
but it was kind of far down the road on the full funding of it. And so I believe they had applied for lot SIP money for this.
Okay.
I don't think that they've had those same type of pre-construction or pre-design meetings yet, so that's
Okay.
something that will be going on.
I know the
Okay.
residents do know about it, or at least some do.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when is the anticipated timeline of the start of construction? Is it the next construction season next year?
So it's going to depend upon the funding for the design.
Okay.
So we have to budget for the design, which I know is something that was submitted to me as part of the CIP request for DPW.
Okay.
So that would mean that design would start sometime after the first of the fiscal year, so July 1.
Okay.
And probably, again, we're not going to see construction until end of fiscal year 26, or excuse me, end of calendar year 26, most likely sometime in calendar year 27.
27, okay, so we've got lots of time
Yeah.
to have meetings with the
Yep.
people that run along that new sidewalk. It's going to
Correct.
be new. Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Town Attorney's report.
Thank you. Good evening. Just in listening to some of the discussion, I don't want to seem like the Grinch at Christmas, but make sure you take into account when you're talking about the skating rink, the potential liability of the town and any increase in terms of insurance and that type of thing, because that's one thing you should consider. And the other thing is, if you're going to buy 1,500 candy canes, then you might want to also take into account any liability the town may have in terms of passing out the candy canes on behalf of the town to somebody who maybe gets sick from it or whatever, and then we have more liability. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying probably should think about it in more detail and have some kind of a plan that's organized that doesn't subject the town to any liability. And other than that, on behalf of Mark Serrato, Sue Roach, and myself, we want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The council, the administration, the town employees, staff, and especially the citizens of the town of Enfield, who you represent so well. So Godspeed to everyone, and hopefully we see you all in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
I do. Yeah,
You do,
sorry.
Mayor Santarella.
So through the mayor to the town attorney. So at a previous meeting, Councilor Zanoni asked that we connect with Matt Hart regarding the housing bill. We still need to do that. You've seen my email. We haven't connected.
Yes, well-
So I just wanted you to know, one, I didn't forget. Two, it was something that was still on our agenda. How would you like to proceed?
Yeah, well, let me, I guess, bring you up to date. There really is not much that's happened because I think it's holiday season. People are busy doing a lot of other things. But in addition to reaching out to the state reps who were very resourceful and helpful, I did not hear anything from your guy at CROG.
Okay.
I did discuss with Matt, the town manager, in terms of has town staff done anything with regard to this issue. And Matt did tell me that actually the town staff has responded to a request that you made to them prior to the bill being passed. And he did offer to give me the materials that they had prior to the bill being passed. And I said, we might as well forget that because I don't want to get confused or confuse anybody else on what somebody says they would like to see. We really want to know, what does it say?
Yep.
And so with a global approach, rather than just the town attorney, what's the liability? I think Councilman Zaccanoni is also looking for the global approach from our Director of Community Development, from the Planning Department, from every town agency that may be affected by it, including what the state of Connecticut says that this bill says, before we can get something that makes sense. So that's where we are with it.
Okay.
I do have a 64-page synopsis of the bill from the state, but I just think by the time you hand that to somebody and they start reading it, it gets too confusing. So if Councilman Zaxanoni will agree to, not put anybody under the gun over the holiday season, I'd say this is ripe for discussion in January or February.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll just take it up then. And I just forgot to mention it, and I just wanted to cover it off before we took a break for the holiday. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, reports of special committees of the council. I know there's been a couple of subcommittees that met. I don't know if there's anything that is, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. Just to report, DPW met for the first time since we've constituted here. We went through a list of replacements for vehicles and where we are with that. We also went through a list of maintenance that has been deferred, and we've kind of gotten a glance at what that looks like. And we are putting together sort of a plan of what this is going to look like as we get into budget season, and measuring what our needs are going to be versus what we want and what we can afford to have. So more to come on that. Thanks. I guess I'm sorry, Zach, Councilor Zanoni.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Joint Facilities met last week. Just to give a brief synopsis, we had an overview of roofs. I think there's some ongoing questions from our colleagues on the Board of Education, as well as myself, regarding the efficacy of some of the projects, given some of the most significant changes to the Pre-K through 5 School Modernization Committee and proposals that they have with those facilities, and ensuring that the plans that we have for our infrastructure are aligned with what we are potentially proposing for our schools. There was also questions about our facilities master plan, which was last updated in 2018. If we followed through on that, we would be at the annex right now. We are not. So I think there is long-standing concerns from residents that we have plans that we don't follow, and that we just do things ad hoc and as it comes forward. And I think that is a continual problem for our town. So Joint Facilities is going to take a look at that facilities plan and see what we can do to have a more comprehensive outlook on the future of our infrastructure, so that we're making decisions that 11 people can agree upon, so that not every 2 years things get pulled in and pushed out. That's a serious problem, and I think that's half the reason why there's not unanimous support for the infrastructure that we are doing. And so plans don't remain consistent. So I think we're going to take another look at that, and those will be coming up in January. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councilor Mangini.
Thank you. We did have a public safety subcommittee meeting, and two big topics that did come up on the agenda. CIP public for the police vehicles. Again, budget is coming up, so we've got some CIP items that are going to have to be addressed. Traffic is also a topic that we pretty much talked in depth about. There are a lot of traffic concerns here in our town, and our PD is working very hard to find ways to make it easier to get around and make it safer for everyone. And I had the opportunity to have a ride-along with our Sergeant Meyer, who's our traffic officer, and learned a lot about areas of town that do pop up posing these issues. So, very briefly, that's what we talked about in our meeting. But I'm sure there'll be more coming. Thank you.
Councilor Crisati.
Yes, thank you. Pre-referendum building committee did meet, and I just want to notify everybody that on December 17th, which is Wednesday, there will be a community conversation, and what's going to be up for discussion will, where the committee is to date. They're going to answer questions from residents, and going to look at the options that were studied and the preferred option that the group is going with. So I know that think tanks were held back in right before Thanksgiving. 20 participants did take place with a couple of good activities and a lot of good feedback. So all of that will be discussed on Wednesday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You did raise your hand. I'm sorry, Lori. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. The 250th Anniversary Committee met. There's all kinds of things going on that they're planning, all kinds of programs, merch that they're going to order up. And I was wondering through the mayor to the town manager if we could have Aaron Markovich come and kind of give us an update, perhaps in January or early February, have him come as a special guest and just fill everyone in on everything that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12 on the agenda is unfinished business. There is none. Moving along to 13. 13A is the consent agenda, A1 through 9 on the consent agenda. It is a resolution to transfer funds for ECDC, PEG-PETA, an Amplify grant, and then 5 reappointments on committees. And can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
And a second.
Motion made and seconded. And no discussion. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? 11 in favor. Anyone against? All right, none against. Thank you very much. 13B, we have town council appointed appointments. Number 1 is the Cultural and Arts Commission. A vacancy exists for a member. The recommendation is Danielle Brown. If I can get a motion
So moved.
And a second.
for Danielle Brown.
Move to close nominations.
Thank you. Motion made
And a second.
and seconded. All in favor of closing nominations? 11 in favor, none against. Any discussion? All in favor of Danielle Brown on the Enfield Cultural Arts and Commissions? Thank you. 11 in favor, none against. Number 2 is Planning and Zoning. A vacancy exists for an alternate member beginning 1/1/2026. Recommendation is Laura Anderson. If I can-
So, go ahead.
Sorry, Laura Anderson.
Thank you.
And a second.
First and seconded, thank you.
Move to close nominations.
Motion made and seconded to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations? 11 in favor, none against. And can I, is there any discussion? All in favor of Laura Anderson for Planning and Zoning for the alternate? 11 in favor, none against. Moving on to item C, a resolution to submit Connecticut Recreational Grant, Trails Grant request. This is for the South River Street project. Whereas the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, DEEP, is authorized to extend financial assistance to municipalities in the form of grants. And whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the town of Enfield make an application to the state for $495,000 in order to partner with HGRE LLC to construct a portion of the Riverside Trail and to execute an assistance agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town council, 1, that it is cognizant of the town's grant application to the Connecticut DEP to construct a portion of the Riverside Trail in partnership with HGRE LLC, and that the filing of the application for state financial assistance by the town of Enfield in the amount shall not exceed $495,000 is hereby approved, and that the town manager, Matthew W. Copular, or his designee, is directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as they may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance if such agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, or revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of the town of Enfield. Date prepared 11/21/2025 by the Economic and Community Development.
And a second.
Whew, that was the first and second. Your resolutions are wordy.
I didn't write this one.
I'm just kidding.
But I will
It's
I will
fine.
say, if I may, this particular project is for the North River Street.
I'm sorry,
project.
yes. My bad.
Yeah, we don't want to surprise the South River Street
No,
residents. on that
sorry.
one.
That is a very important distinction, too. Thank
But
you.
the developers HDRE, who's doing the apartment, Phase 1 apartment project, as well as hopefully the Phase 2, which is on the Eversource property that they're in the process of acquiring. We'll be funding the 20% match. We have to apply for it, be kind of the pass-through for that particular grant money.
Yes, thank you. So we are a pass-through. Any questions or discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Thank you, Sheila. D, resolution to approve the proposed pay rates for summer, seasonal, and temporary and part-time employees in the recreation and senior divisions. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 4, Section 14 of the Town Charter, the Enfield Town Council does hereby adopt the pay rates for summer, seasonal, temporary, or part-time employees in the Recreation and Senior Center divisions effective June 1, 2026. Date prepared 12/15/2025 by Jason Neely, Library Director.
So moved.
Second.
I had a first and a second. This is going to be starting now so we can start the hiring process, even though minimum wage does not go up until a few months from now. Is there anything that either Jason or from the town manager's office?
Only if you have questions.
No? Any questions or discussions? All right, the pay rate scale is attached in our agenda. So sensing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Thank you. Item E, resolution waiving the bid requirements for the Enfield Joint Operations Center.
I make a motion for you to waive the reading?
Yes. Motion first and
And just give the
seconded.
synopsis.
Any, all in favor?
Yep.
11 in favor, none against. Thank you very much. Just as, do you want to do the sort of the brief overview?
Yeah, I can real quick.
Okay.
So, as the council's aware, the town is invested in a number of camera placements throughout the town. And at the time when they bid those out, they selected Vulcan Security to be kind of the overall general firm that you know, where they buy the cameras, the software, and all that. The town, or we're coming up on that replacement schedule, actually overdue by a couple years for a number of the cameras. Through the TIF district, money was identified that would allow us to upgrade those camera placements that are within the TIF district, and thereby not have a cost to the general fund for these replacements. I think from the police department standpoint, they are very satisfied with the Vulcan Security Company. They're also worried that if we start changing out to a different company, we're going to be buying potentially different cameras. We'll have multiple software systems that may not interact very well. So they're requiring or requesting that we do this bid waiver so we can keep the same contractor doing the work that we're doing, and they are very pleased with that.
Thank you. Any questions? Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner.
4.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Item F, resolution authorizing the foreclosure of property maintenance fines at 132 Weymouth Road. Be it resolved, the Enfield Town Council does hereby authorize the foreclosure of the property maintenance fines associated with the property maintenance liens recorded December 2, 2021 at volume 2822, page 1194, and September 23, 2025 at volume 2952, page 328, for the property at 132 Weymouth Road, date prepared 12/5/2025, prepared by Office of Economic and Community
So moved.
Development. I have a first?
Second.
And a second. Thank you. I know this came out of Blight, so, John? And then Carol, if you have
Yeah.
anything to add, absolutely.
So this process, we have tried for quite some time to get this landlord, this property owner, to come to the Blight Committee to address the blight issues. For those who don't know, 132 Weymouth Road is the Porter Chester building at the corner of Weymouth and Steel Road. They came to us for, I think the first time we met them was we had a special meeting right before the election. We frankly reluctantly gave them an opportunity to come back to us with a plan of what they were going to do with this building. We then revisited with them at our most recent blight meeting, and there had been no progress whatsoever on this building. And frankly, they have no intention of remedying the problem. And I don't want to get into specific comments that were made, but they're not going to fix this building. It's been left in disrepair. They are $81,000 in fines due to the town. We've had to do DPW work there. There's snow liens on the property. And we don't really have much hope that this particular owner is going to remedy this property. So the recommendation of the committee is to begin foreclosure. We do realize that there is some contamination on this property, but we talked about this with the town manager, and the reality is nothing's going to change if we don't start moving the process along, and inevitably, the town's going to have to be involved in some way. If there's going to be cleanup that's necessary, we're going to have to be part of this, but the status quo is just not serving the people of the neighborhood. It's gone on long enough, and so the committee's recommendation is unanimous that we foreclose on this.
Thank you. Anything else to add out of Blight, Carol?
I'll just make a quick comment. So it was unanimous. We discussed it. We are hopeful, and we know that there's been a lot of interest in this property over the course of time. And it seems like the owners have largely decided to ignore those offers for whatever reason. It doesn't make sense to me. So my hope is that we have a buyer out there that is willing to kind of make an offer to these sellers and pull it out of the foreclosure and bring it back to what we hope it should be for the neighborhood. So the initiative that was discussed in Blight is definitely to move forward with a foreclosure with the hopes that hopefully somebody will step forward and buy this property. So even though we're starting the process, that does not stop anybody from reaching out and contacting the owner and trying to purchase the property before foreclosure goes through. So there's still time to do that, and if not, we'll deal with that bridge when we cross it. It's going to be quite a process, as the town attorney can probably speak to. The foreclosure process is going to take time, so I don't think we'll see it anytime much before March, maybe April or May of spring. It's quite a process. So anyway, that's all I really have to add to it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Allegro.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank our Deputy Mayor Santinella and the entire Blight Review Committee. The residents living in this area, in the neighborhood surrounding that building, have been extremely concerned. They work hard maintaining their homes and keeping up the value of their home, and the building is a condition that they cannot control. So I know I'm speaking for many of those residents in that neighborhood that they appreciate that we are now going forward, and this will give them some relief. So I want to thank all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, sensing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
Councilor Hall.
4.
Councilor Mangini.
4.
Councilor Matthews.
4.
Councilor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Thomas.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Zanoni.
4.
Councilor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you. Item 13G, resolution establishing the PK through 5 elementary schools and Eagle Academy Therapeutic Day School pre-referendum committee.
I'd like to move to waive the reading, please.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. All in favor of waiving the reading? 11 in favor, none against. Thank you. This is a reestablishment of the committee that had done a lot of work and will continue to do a lot of good work for the pre-referendum for the elementary schools. So discussion, questions? Councilor Hall.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to explain, I'd like to put an amendment to this resolution, and it'll make sense when we get to the next resolution, which assigns folks to this pre-referendum building committee. So in this particular referendum, in the paragraph that says, further be it resolved, we have a breakdown of the membership numbers of the committee. So what I am proposing in this amendment is to change the membership from a 9 to an 11. And let me just explain a little bit as to why we're making this adjustment, but I know I need a second, so I'll wait.
Second.
Do you want to say your specific language for Sheila so she can write it down, or do you?
Do you have the
I do,
paragraph, Sheila?
9 regular members.
Right, it'll go to 11 from 9. That's the only change.
All right, so that's the amendment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, after the amendment, then we have to do discussion on that amendment.
Okay.
So, right, or do we do a vote on the amendment first? I can't remember.
No,
discussion
discussion
first.
for
Right.
the amendment.
Okay, so discussion on the amendment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So on the amendment itself, that change was just made to accommodate the current pre-referendum committee. So not jumping ahead to the next amendment, to the next resolution, what we'd like to see happen are all the sitting members on the pre-referendum committee that are sitting there right now just continue forward. So we wouldn't make any change to the current committee. We'd leave everybody in place that is actually sitting there right now. So that's what this change does. It accommodates, there's actually 11 or 12 people, 12, on the committee right now, and that's counting Gina as a liaison. So what the 11 does is just simply move those numbers over to accommodate everybody that's sitting there right now. So that's what that number change does, if that makes any sense.
Thank you. Additional discussion on the amendment. Go ahead, Councilor Pisner.
So we are really close to getting this to referendum. And everybody knows the importance of this passing. So the group that is in there right now has done a phenomenal job. They have worked together. I don't understand why we are going to rock the boat now. Why don't we leave them in place? Because we are so close. They are working together harmoniously. Everybody gets along. It's a very good nonpartisan group of people. And I just feel that moving forward, this puts us in a better place to get this referendum passed. And each of us knows the importance of that. if this referendum doesn't pass, we don't have a plan B. So to me, why are we going to recreate the wheel? Keep what we have in place and move forward.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so I agree that we need to move forward and that this committee has been working steadfastly and efficiently. And we had a meeting last week with the clear intention, and we talked with the town manager beforehand. It was important to both the mayor and I and to the rest of the members of this side of the table that this committee have strong continuity moving forward so that we can get this over the finish line. And the intention of us having a discussion about this last week was to do just that. And we left the room with an agreement that the committee was going to be constituted with 9 people, and the names of those people were specifically called out, and we all agreed on both the makeup and the size of the committee. And now we get to tonight, and we're kind of changing the landscape and the rules. And I just find that disconcerting. We all had agreement. Councilor Crissati has been part of the process from the beginning. We've had significant discussions, and Councilor Crissati, I hope that you'll chime in, that we were all in agreement of what we were going to do here tonight, and I think we should just stick to the plan that we had. I think everybody was in full agreement with that, and I just kind of take issue with us kind of doing a 180 at the 11th hour. So I'm going to vote against this amendment, and I would encourage everybody else to vote against this and go with the plan that we agreed in caucus earlier this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Crissati.
Yeah, I'm in disagreement of the amendment myself. I've been involved with this group for the past couple of years, or even before that, from when the first committee was there. And the group of people that are on this list is still that same core of people that are going to be pushing this across the finish line. If there was an agreement made at the meeting to have 9 members, then we should be sticking to the 9 members and the 9 members that were selected. And in regard to being at this committee and knowing that the committee was going to be had to be disbanded and reestablished, after the election. I'm in full support of the 9 members that's included in the original resolution, and I'm also in total agreement with 13H with the people that were. Well, there will be a little change on that one, but in regard to the numbers, I'm in full support of this. This committee has worked awfully hard over the past several years, and I'd like to see that maintained. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the amendment for this resolution, not the next resolution? Okay. Councilor Zanoni.
So I have a question. So you have it listed as 11 members, but there are 12 people on the committee. So who is your intention to take off out of those 12 people?
So in the list I looked at, Zach, Gina was part of the 12.
Yeah.
So it was 11 without Gina, and she told me she's a liaison.
Right. I'm not the only liaison. There's a liaison on the Republican side for the town council, and there's a liaison.
But it didn't get counted in my numbers. So it was just you that was in that number of 12.
So I think that what I'm wondering with that is because there's Mr. Russo was a liaison, Mr. Nasuda was a liaison. If you're moving these people into voting members, why would you not ensure everyone was a voting member? If your intention is to reconstitute the exact people who are on that committee, move them into voting members, that would be 12 people.
Not that sits there currently, Zach.
So she's-
The list I have is 12 people.
Yes, 12
Including
people.
Gina.
Including Gina, that's my
So,
point.
but she
your
wasn't a voting
commission is
member.
11 people.
She would still be on the committee as a liaison, but not as a voting member.
I don't think that addresses, so for instance, Councilor Crissati is still would be on the commission as a voting member. So it seems like there's two separate levels of standards for individuals that are sitting on the council, either current or prior, of whether they're voting members or not. There's a lack of consistency there with the resolution that you're proposing.
To respond. So
Yeah, it's not
so-
like a statement,
so-
it's a question.
So basically, the list I have, Zach, was 12 for the next amendment, right? And that included Gina. So without Gina, she's a liaison, it brings it back to 11. So that's why the number 11 is still like that we changed from 9 to 11. It covers everybody that was there, whether they were previous liaisons or not. The whole intent is to keep the people in that room that have always been in the room, whether they're in a liaison position before or if they were full voting members before. So basically keeping intact that committee as it sits right now, whether they were voting or not. We just want the same people in the room. That's all this change from 9 to 11 does.
Okay, I get that, and this will be my final comment,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. I just think that if the intention is to reconstitute the exact committee rather than have some sitting councilors be liaisons, some sitting voting members, that having some level of consistency with that and just ensure all of them were voting members would have been a better practice, but that's my opinion and mine only. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I think, are we ready to move on the amendment?
I just wanted to say I support the change from 9 to 11, and I think we should keep the original members.
Thank
Make
you.
those changes.
Thank you. Okay. Is it on this amendment or the next one?
On this one.
Okay.
It is on this one, in response to something that John said and Bob said on this particular amendment. So just so people understand that are watching the meeting, when we have subcommittee meetings or off-agenda meetings or we have non-meetings, decisions can't be made at that level. Everything has to be voted on by the council. So we can bring recommendations back to the council and make suggestions to the council. But in subcommittee and non-meetings, we don't make any decisions ever. It's against the charter. So you can walk out of that meeting with what you discussed at the meeting. It doesn't mean that that's what's going to appear on the floor or what people even want to see in the resolution. So both respective caucuses have to discuss what was talked about in those meetings, but no decisions are ever made at that level. It's always got to come to 11 counselors. So I respectfully disagree with those statements. Also, Bob said we're putting all the same members back on, and we're not. We're actually taking people off this committee with the resolution we have in front of us. So all we're doing with changing the 9 to 11 is including everybody that's sitting there now, which also includes the chair of the Board of Education, by the way. So, and I'll end with that.
Thank you. Is voting on the amendment a hand vote or roll call, Sheila? Hand vote?
We have been voting on amendments by hand, yeah.
Okay.
Hand count.
So all in favor
I'd
of,
like a roll call, please.
roll call, please.
Okay. Counselor Crissati. This is on the amendment.
No.
Counselor Hall.
For.
Counselor Mangini.
Against.
Counselor Matthews.
Against.
Counselor Pisner. For. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Against.
Counselor Thomas.
Against.
Counselor Ungary.
For.
Counselor Zanoni.
Against.
Counselor Allegro.
Against.
Mayor Sakala.
Against.
3 members in favor, 8 against.
Thank you. So discussion on the resolution itself as written. I think we've sort of talked about it enough. All right, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
For.
Counselor Hall.
Against.
Counselor Mangini.
For.
Counselor Matthews.
For.
Counselor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
Against.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
8 in favor, 3 against.
Item H, resolution appointing members to the reestablished PK through 5 elementary schools and Eagle Academy Therapeutic School Pre-Referendum Committee. Whereas the Town Council has reestablished the PK through 5 elementary schools and Eagle Academy Therapeutic Day School Pre-Referendum Committee to facilitate planning and recommendations for the educational facility improvements. And whereas the committee shall consist of 9 regular members who are residents of the town as outlined in the establishing resolution. Now therefore be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council hereby appoints the following individuals as regular members for the PK through 5 elementary schools and Eagle Academy Therapeutic Day Pre-Referendum Committee: Randy Daigle, Tina LeBlanc, Christine DeBoni, Jacqueline Temple Valley, Jeff Rousseau, Bob Crosati, Lauren Andrews, Kate Flanagan, Charlotte Riley. Date prepared 12/12/25 by Matthew W. Koppler.
So moved.
And second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we amend the motion to replace Jeff Rousseau with Janet Cushman.
Second.
There is an amendment first and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Deputy Mayor.
Yep. So I think that this is a good substitution, and there was some discussion after the agenda was published that there wasn't a sitting member of the Board of Education that was included in the committee. And Board Member Cushman has been part of the committee all along, and so it just made sense to put her back on the committee as a sitting member, and I think that just rounds out the group as nicely, and so I'm going to support Councilor Zanoni's amendment to replace Jeff Rousseau with Board Member Janet Cushman.
Thank you. Any additional discussion on the amendment? Councilor Zanoni.
Thank you. So I think it's important to have a brief synopsis here of what's going on. So I don't believe it's appropriate to have a committee that has a voting member of the council but not have a voting member of the Board of Education. It just doesn't seem appropriate. By right, we don't have to, but it seems to be the right thing to do. And I have had extensive conversations with my caucus, with the minority leader on the council, the minority leader at the Board of Education, the chairwoman of the Board of Education, the vice chairwoman of the Board of Education, members of the Board of Education, and all of that helped make me believe I'm making an informed decision here, whether they agreed with me or not. And the fact of the matter is, it is not ideal to have to take a member and switch it out and replace it with another member. It isn't. But it is essential, in my belief, that this council appoints a voting member of the Board of Education to this committee. And there was not support for expanding the committee. I quite frankly don't have much disagreement with Councilor Hall's proposal until I heard today that it was 11. I originally expected it was 12. So that actually changed my vote in the moment. But the fact of the matter is, that's what there was support for. And in politics, it's about compromise. And while it's not everything I had hoped for, and I would have preferred to see every individual that sat on that committee to be there as voting members and the liaisons be picked to be new people, that was my preference. That's not what there was support for. And so I'm not going to vote down something because it's not everything I hoped for. Because I walked into the conversation after speaking with members of the Board of Education, recognizing the importance that they are a voting member and have the seat at the table. I understand there are teachers on this committee. I understand there are administrators on this committee. As an educator, I can tell you there are so many instances in which teachers and administrators are not on the same page as central office and the Board of Education. So making the assumption that they are acting in the interest of the Board of Education is not true, nor should they. They have different roles and are accountable and responsible to different people. This is a fair resolution. It is not my preference that we have to replace someone. I wish the resolution came forward different. That is up to the town manager and the chairman of the committee about why it ended up at 9 people in the first place. I have to make a decision with what's handed in front of me, and that's what I did, and that's why I will be supporting this decision. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this amendment? Councilor Hall. Councilor Hall.
So basically, that's why the previous proposal was made. This actually physically removes people that have sat on this committee from the beginning. It takes what was in place and removes people that have been active and participated in this committee for a long time. And when you start going through the names on this resolution, everybody, with the exception of one person on this list, is education-based. We have, God bless you, we have one resident on this committee other than the chair. So you've got teachers, you've got administrators, you've got previous Board of Ed members, and council, who's also part of education. So the committee itself now does not have any residents sitting here except for one. I mean, they're all residents, obviously, but they're all education-based in, as it sits with this resolution. So I'm totally against the resolution as proposed, the amendment as proposed, and I'll be voting against it.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? Okay. We can do a hand vote on this amendment unless there's any opposition. So all in favor of the amendment by Councilor Zanoni? 8 in favor, all against? 3 against, no abstentions. Thank you. The amendment passes. So any additional discussion on the motion or the resolution, I apologize, as amended? Councilor Hall.
I have a motion to amend the amendment. So basically, what we would like to see this group constituted as, and I'll read the names for the record, Sheila, is that how you would like it? Okay, so we have Randy Daigle, we have Tina LeBlanc, we have Christine, and I apologize, thank you, DeBoni. We have Jacqueline Valley, we have Jeff Russo, we have Bob Crissati, we have Lauren Andrews, we have Kate Flanagan, and we have Charlotte Riley. And that's our amendment to the amended resolution.
We have an amendment. We have an amendment and a second. Okay. Any discussion on the second amendment? Councilor Pisner seconded. Yep. Any discussion on this amendment?
I'm going to make it quick. I'm not going to drag this out. All I want to say is this keeps everybody in place that's there. It doesn't remove people, and I know I've heard people on the dais say they don't want to remove anybody. This is your opportunity not to remove anybody. So this would be everybody that's sitting there now, and the liaisons would, of course, the Board of Education. You'd have Janet Cushman here. So nobody would be eliminated.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. Can we have, we're doing a hand vote on this amendment. So all in favor of the second amendment by Councilor Hall that was seconded by Councilor Pisner. All in favor? Any against? 3 in favor, 8 against. So the amendment fails. All set, Sheila? Okay. Any more discussion on this resolution? All right, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
Against.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
Against.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
8 members in favor, 3 against.
Thank you. Item I, resolution naming the main hall at the senior center in honor of Kay Talarita. Counselor Crisati.
Thank you. The resolution naming the main hall at the senior center in honor of Kay Talarita. Whereas the Enfield Senior Center has long served as a vital resource for the older adult community, offering programs, services, and a welcoming environment that enriches the lives of Enfield residents. And whereas Kay Talarita served as the director of the Enfield Senior Center for over 30 years and was the heart and soul of Enfield Senior Services. She created a welcoming environment for our town's senior citizens. Under her leadership, the center grew into a true community hub, offering health programs, educational workshops, fitness classes, and countless social events, and her lasting contributions to the quality of life in the town of Enfield. And whereas under her guidance, the Senior Center experienced significant growth in participation, enhancement of programs, and strengthened the ties with local partners and volunteers. Whereas Kay is still an active member of on the Commission on Aging and founded the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program, which continues to provide vital resources, support groups, and advocacy of caregiving across generations. And whereas it is fitting and appropriate that the town of Enfield honor individuals whose service has been meaningful and enduring impact on the community. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Enfield hereby names the main hall of the Enfield Senior Center as the Kay Talarita Hall in recognition of her outstanding leadership, service, and dedication to the seniors of Enfield. And be it further resolved that appropriate signage be installed and a public dedication ceremony scheduled to commemorate this honor and celebrate the contributions of Kay Talarita's service and dedication to the seniors of Enfield. Date prepared 12/8/2025, prepared by Bob Crisati, Counselor at Large.
So moved.
Second.
So it's first and seconded. Any discussion? Counselor Crisati.
Yeah, the only thing that that I am going to say is that Kay Talarita is the heart and soul of the Enfield Senior Center. This is a well-deserved honor, and it was a privilege to be able to, write this resolution and have support for it. And looking forward to a dedication ceremony. I would sense in talking with the family sometime early springtime, and we could set something up. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Mangini.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Crisati. This is perfect. It's wonderful. Kay Talarita has done a lot for the town of Enfield. She, in addition to serving on the Commission on Aging, she's also very instrumental in the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren group. She's very helpful with the fundraising. Her heart and soul goes into her work, and we should all be very, very proud that we have such a person in our community. So I definitely, would support this resolution, and God bless Kay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Counselor Crisati, for bringing this forward. Roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Item J, resolution regarding appointment of the town attorney. Whereas the town charter requires the town council to appoint a town attorney following the council elections, and whereas the town council has authorized the issuance of a request for proposals to solicit applications for qualified attorneys for the position of town attorney, and whereas said proposals are due on December 9th, 2025, after which a thorough and expedited selection process will be conducted, but will not be completed prior to January 1, 2026. And whereas the town council seeks to maintain the effective and efficient operations of the town of Enfield and to ensure the availability of proper legal advice and services during the interim period before a permanent town attorney is appointed. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby appoint Thomas J. Tyler as town attorney for the town of Enfield effective January 1, 2026 for a term that shall expire on February 14th, 2026, or upon the appointment of a permanent town attorney by the town council, whichever occurs first. Be it further resolved that the town attorney during this term will be compensated at a per diem basis based upon the annual compensation rate of $65,000. Date prepared 12/9/2025, prepared by the town manager's office.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, discussion. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just think there needs to be a clarification in this, and I'd like to propose just a friendly amendment. In the second whereas, I believe this should read, whereas the town council has issued a request for proposal to solicit applications. We didn't have an authorization, we didn't have a resolution before us. We issued this administratively, so I think that's what this needs to say. So I'd like the second whereas to read, whereas the town council has issued a request for proposal to solicit applications from qualified attorneys for the position of town attorney.
There was an amendment made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion on the amendment. Counselor Hall.
So, John, can you read, just a point of clarification. Are you saying that the town council, in your amendment, you're still leaving in that the town council is asking for an RFP? Is that what your amendment reads, or can you reread it? So
The town, so I'll
your
reread it.
amendment, just your amendment.
So I'm going to just read what the second whereas said, because, okay, so my amendment takes out the word authorized, the issuance of, and puts in the word issued, a request for proposal, and takes out the letter S.
So it will read.
Yes. So what does it read? Like with
I
your
just-
amendment, with
I
your
just-
amendment?
Yeah, I just read it, so I'll read it again. Whereas the town council has issued a request for proposal to solicit applications from qualified attorneys for the position of town attorney.
Okay, so can I ask? Okay, so I guess I have issue with the way that's written, and we can, when we get to the vote, we'll probably vote no on that, only because the way I understand your amendment is it is saying that the town council as a body put out a request for the RFP, if I understand that correctly, and that never happened. So I guess I'm trying to decipher the difference between what is in the amendment and what you're proposing. It sounds like it's very much the same thing.
So I took out the word authorized because we didn't have a resolution, and we just issued a request for proposal. So
But the council didn't.
So the majority council did.
But there was no formal action taken by the council. So
So through the mayor to the town manager, because I know we've sought legal advice on the wording of this, and so I would like to defer to the town attorney and the town manager to comment.
Grab it. What do you want to? Would you like him or me?
I would like one of you to answer the question.
I think perhaps rather using the active voice, I'm not an English major, but we use the passive voice and just say, whereas an RFP has been issued, whatever the rest of the thing says. I can't read it, it's too small.
I'm fine with that language as well. So whereas an RFP.
That is what my amendment says.
Okay, so let us
Okay.
rescind, you want,
Okay, thank you. I got it. So I will take my amendment off the table.
and who seconded?
I'll rescind my second.
Okay, and
So
then
I will
you have an amendment.
change it. I will now make an amendment that says, whereas a request for proposal
has been issued. Yeah, to solicit applications, et cetera. Yeah.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Counselor Thomas. Any discussion on the amendment?
Not on the amendment.
Okay. All in favor of?
Hold on.
Oh,
Enfield High
I thought
School.
you
the
said
new-
nothing on the
just
amendment.
Just as the amendment, just as John reread the amendment.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor of the amendment? 11 in favor, none against. Discussion on the resolution as amended. Counselor Zanoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I will be supporting this resolution tonight, and I just want to give people a brief overview of some things of my perspective on this. I am at heart an institutionalist, and it's my belief that the town manager and the town attorney are people that should carry through town councils unless it is believed that the work that they are doing is insufficient or they no longer desire the job. In respects to Attorney Tyler, I was an early critic of his. When I was a member of the town committee, Enfield Democratic Town Committee, I voted to remove him from that committee. I had a lot of concerns, and I have been disproven of a lot of those concerns in his service as a town attorney over the past 2 years. I have no qualms, no issues with the work that he's done. He has proven himself to be an impartial person. And so while I will support the extension of his term, it is important for me to note that I was not in support of issuing an RFP, and I believe that he should continue to remain as town attorney. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Zanoni. Counselor Pisner.
So the process on this was done incorrectly. Well, it is. So there is a process where you have 11 council members sitting up here. I can count. I know you got 8. I know we've got 3. But people still voted us up here to have a voice. I understand that you have the right to do this, but it should have been done on the floor with a resolution. When we were the majority party in November of 2023 and we found out that Jim Talberg was resigning, we had a unanimous vote to go out with an RFP with a resolution. You did this resolution on your own, because if you went before the council, it was never voted on. So I want the people at home to understand this is not something we wanted. We did not want this. So to have council say that we accept this is wrong. I will say yes to this because I want Tom to stay until the 14th. But I think this was underhanded.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Hall.
So I have to say I respectfully agree with Counselor Zanoni and Counselor Pisner. I think it's one thing to know that you have the numbers to do something. It's another thing to do things that are not done publicly and done without transparency. So I will support this because I would not have supported an RFP to go out for another town attorney if it was brought in front of us as a council, like it should have been. I would have voted no. This is our opportunity to express that publicly. We think Tom has done a great job for the town. I would love to see Tom stay. So come when we actually physically have the discussion on town attorneys that have applied, and as a council, we discuss them. I will be a no on any other town attorney, and I'll put that on the record now. I will be supporting Tom to move forward as our town attorney. So I just wanted that on the record.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, Councilor Ungary.
Thank you. I just want to go on record as saying I disagree with the procedure of how this was done. I personally wasn't included on any conversation that this even was going to transpire. I agree with Councilor Zanoni, Pisner, and Hall on Tom Tyler. I want to keep him, so if I can only get him till January until another vote, then I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Hall.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
And Mayor Sakala.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you. 14 items for discussion. There are none. Any other business proper to come before said meeting? 15. There is none. Public communications. There is none. Councilman communications. Deputy Mayor.
Yep, I just neglected to say Merry Christmas when I spoke earlier, and I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2026.
I know.
Counselor Hall.
I was quiet during councilor communications because
You
I did
were.
not want to be redundant and repeat
okay.
everything up here
All right.
everybody
You
said.
go
but
ahead.
I do want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Councilor Ungary.
Yes, I also would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
We will see you all in 2026. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And second, all in favor? All right, see you next year.